Oracle and OpenAI have signed a $300 billion cloud deal. Larry Ellison, his wealth nearly increased nearly 100 in a week. What would you do with 100 billion a week? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Autonomous Income. I'm your co-host, Deuce Noble.
And I'm your co-host, DJ. What's going on today, Deuce?
Hey man, just another day. We're living in this AI world. So it's their world. We're just living in it right now. We're just a
Thanks.
figment. So there's a lot of cool things that have been happening, a lot of deals that have been made. So we're going to kind of dive into that. Of course, we're going to talk about the Apple event that just happened recently. And we're going to check out everything that they've released or talked about with their new iPhones and devices. Also, we're going to talk about OpenAI and Microsoft. They have restructured their deal, and we want to kind of dive in and take a peek under the covers of what that looks like. And on the same topic of OpenAI and their deals, they have struck a brand new deal with Oracle, making it the lucrative deal in cloud computing that anyone has ever seen. So we're going to dive into all of that. But yeah, DJ, take it away. What you want to start with first?
Yeah, man. So, I think what we need to do is jump into the Apple event and kind of talk about that initially because one,
Great
we've
event.
been anticipating, of course, what they'll show. There was a lot of leaks this year, so there wasn't too many surprises, at least from my side. But it was pretty cool finally actually seeing the iPhone Air, which is very
Yeah.
interesting. A lot of people, this reminds them of, and I can't remember which iPhone it is. Maybe the 6. Like, remember the one that was bending, and one of the YouTubers they showed it bending and, like that was like a big thing or whatever. So a lot of people were just like, this was kind of reminding them of that device. So I'm sure a lot of tests will be coming out soon that you can see all across like YouTube and the interwebs and see all those things. But yeah, what was your take on it? Are you upgrading? You not upgrading? You found what you have? Anything to you?
The where I'm sitting at it as far as how I feel about new phones and devices, I'll say this. When Google came out with their Pixel event, that device, loved all the features on it. However, like I stated, I'm still team Apple as far as how the ecosystem works. Now, I currently have an iPhone 14 Pro.
Hmm.
And the only reason I would upgrade is just to stay relevant so my phone doesn't turn into a brick. So we all know it's been proven that Apple slows down the previous versions of their devices when the new
Yeah.
ones come out.
Well, I mean, yeah, they did get in trouble with that one time, but supposedly they don't do that anymore.
So right, look. So
Yeah.
we'll see if I do upgrade, it'll be because I need a new device, not because of the features, but also the new updated features and chips are really cool. The chipset that they put into this version of the phones, all of the phones, the Air, the 17 Max, Pro Max, and all of that, very, very cutting edge, very, very nice. But yeah, nothing really kind of knocked me out my socks, so to speak, or wowed me so much that I'm like, man, I gotta go get it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, The Verge, as I mentioned, there's one thing that just commonly came up during it. I saw Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, threads and all the things like, people were just saying like, last year and was that huge Apple Intelligence, and it might have been the one before that one where it was really Apple Intelligence. And I can't remember. Maybe it was just last year. But either way,
I'm
when
pretty
Apple
sure it was
Intelligence.
last year. That was when they first, really came out with the Apple Intelligence.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, like it was kind of a big segment, a big huge part of it, and everything, which was cool. This year, they definitely kind of reeled that back a little bit. And my mind, I was just thinking like, hopefully they would do something strategically, either with partnering with another company. I don't care who it is, right, to really amplify and like really kind of set the stage for that. So maybe it's a strategic change. But what I feel is, I think in the next couple months, maybe they'll do something different, or they're waiting for WWDC 26 to kind of really talk about what they plan on bringing to the platform. But either way, the Pro devices, they actually seem pretty cool. Right now, I'm rocking the 16 Pro Max, and because I had an older one prior to
Well,
that one.
see, you don't really have no major upgrades from your device. See,
Nah.
me, I probably get all the bells and whistles because I'm three devices behind.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they had like the 48 megapixels on the Pro Maxes or on the Pros, and that looked good. The new vapor chamber or whatever they're calling it on the top of the devices,
Yeah.
that was pretty good. But for me and for us, and as we talk, like if we put the context to just AI and like its improvements to things along with the operating system and just, how you can function and all those things. Like I'm looking for a lot of that because that was really what Google Flex, like when, I'm not gonna lie, I did look over the fence, like when the Pixel 10 and there, the whole thing. And, back and forth, you and I back in the day, we used to have both, right? We'd have Pixel and an iPhone device for work and whatnot. So, we did carry a lot, but I mean, this did have me kind of looking back over to say like, I kind of miss that ecosystem that they have over there as well, and they've stepped up a lot as well, with their
They
smart
have
devices,
stepped up a lot.
watches. Yeah.
Even with the watches, I mean, the Pixel tablet, everything over there on Google. But I want to go back to we were talking about Apple Intelligence, and I just want to make a point. Remember when Apple Intelligence they announced that and they had all the commercials and everything talking about what Apple Intelligence would do? You
Yeah.
see lately they've kind of slowed down on that and kind of, quietly took those commercials away. Not to bash Apple, but it's just interesting how they kind of went away or shied away from the AI stuff. And even in this event launch, they barely mentioned it.
Yeah.
Which we've kind of me and you, DJ, have speculated, like, you know what? Apple needs to stick to what they do well, and that is their devices, right?
The hardware,
That is their
right? Yeah.
ecosystem. The hardware is what they do well.
I'm
And
still a
this
fan, dude. It's like I believe that they'll be able to figure it out, and I think they'll come out with something that's really compelling. Like usually when they're hopefully the whole point is like when that pendulum shifts and their back's kind of up against the wall, that's when some innovation because they'll feel kind of that pressure, and that's usually when companies really like have to they have to swing, swing for the fences or whatever the case is, or throw the
that's
hail
right.
mary. We're more football people, especially it's football season. I want to feel like they're gonna figure something out, and I don't know exactly what it is. If they're gonna go with a third party to them, like a Gemini, which was rumored, or if they go with
Right.
a deeper integration with OpenAI, which we'll be getting to here shortly in a second, because OpenAI is just, I mean, they're just all over the place. They're literally all over the place. But we'll table that for now. But I just wanted to kind of talk about, like, as quoted here by The Verge, and they articulated it well. They said the presentation was far cry from Apple's heavy-handed mentions of AI at the iPhone 16 unveiling, which you were correct, Deuce. Then it said, which led to public disappointment when some flagship features didn't roll out as promised. So you're right also, because there was a commercial with I want to say that one of the actresses from Game of Thrones, maybe or something like that, where she was talking to Siri and she was just like, "Can you find the email or what
Yeah.
something along those lines?" And you don't see that
Yeah.
anymore. That is not on rotation.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
So also with that device, I thought it was interesting with the device launch. They also had the AirPods 3 that they are launching and releasing as well with live language translation, which of course seems to be the new norm for headphones that are coming out as far as the pod headphones that are syncing with phones. The Google Pixel Pod Buds, I would say is what they are had them as well. But it's interesting, live translation, which has been around for a little while, but bringing it to kind of more of a mainstream headphone is going to be cool to see how
it'd
well
be
those
interesting.
do.
What I want to do is I can't wait to go into places where people may not think you speak something. Or, I know a lot of people. Like my mom was talking about going to the nail salon and just like making sure if somebody's saying
Of
something
course.
crazy. I mean, everybody has a thing,
Well, look,
or
I feel
wherever you
like that was
go.
like the number one place people want to use it at, the nail salon.
Yeah, they might want to go to the nail salon. That's the only thing I can think of, like, or they'll go somewhere. But also just for us, like if we're traveling to, like if anybody that with all the languages, I just think that that's a cool feature. And I think it does solve a big problem. Like I'm actually really excited about it outside of the whole nail salon stuff and all that. But just like in reality, like traveling, I think that'll be pretty cool because if you travel abroad and maybe you're not as fluent with different languages as you'd like to be, that can kind of help out. But we'll see how that is. But you're right, Google's had that for 3-4 years. I could be
It's
wrong,
been
but I mean they've had
it's
it.
been
They've
a
had
little
that.
while. They've had it for a while, but it's been I feel like it's one of those features that maybe wasn't the best, right? It's been kind of around for a while, but I don't think it's been one of the features that was really like pushed as far as like, oh, look at this. A lot of
Yeah,
people didn't really, I would say, care for that, especially from the headphone space, right? I feel like if we talk about headphones, Apple kind of owns a pretty big lion
yeah.
share of
I
that
mean,
headphone
huge.
market,
Yeah, yeah,
especially since they own the Beats and Beats by Dre. And everywhere you turn around, you can see that people with that white AirPod hanging in their ear, right? So
yep.
I feel like the lion's share of if that's the thing to say, the lion's share of the headphone market space, Apple owns a lot. So that said, live language translation might take a better effect with Apple's new language translation versus Google's, who's been around for a while. We've seen that in the past with features, key features that has been around for a while, the Apple kind of, recreates and everything. Nonetheless, all right, so let's
Yeah.
go ahead. You already got the next thing up.
Yeah,
OpenAI,
man. I wanted
Microsoft.
to. Well, yeah. Well, we're kind of talking about that as you mentioned earlier. OpenAI and Microsoft, they signed a preliminary deal to revise their partnership terms. And essentially, as we know, and I think in the verbiage before, like there was something like once OpenAI reaches AGI, and that definition isn't like really hardened, but once they reach that, then I think the partnership would no longer exist. And I'll quote down the actual partnership terms and everything. We'll leave that in the description below, but long story short, now they're kind of restructuring that. So on Thursday, as it's reported here by Ars Technica, OpenAI and Microsoft announced that they have signed a non-binding agreement to revise their partnership, marking the latest development in relationship that has grown increasingly complex as both companies compete for customers in the AI market and seek new partnerships for growing infrastructure needs. So that is true. I mean, they are. I mean, if you look at it, Deuce, like for work, you have Microsoft Copilot or Copilot 365 and like all of the same really kind of tools that you use. You can get that with OpenAI, right? Like they have very similar things for OpenAI's enterprise version of ChatGPT. And then, of course, you have Microsoft 365. So for me, it did seem confusing to why like they were so in the vein of one lane. It's like you'd pick one for one solution and maybe another for another, but it looks like they're going, and trying to restructure that and make sure it makes sense. What's your take on that?
Well, the crazy thing about this whole deal, there's a lot that goes into it, right? It's very high stakes, as states from the article. But what's crazy about it is it still require the restructuring requires approvals from attorney generals in California, Delaware. So it kind of really goes to speculate, like there's a lot going into this deal. Right, that partnership is going to be wild, so to speak. I'm telling you, I said this before. This is how Skynet was formed. A partnership like this, you take the biggest leader in AI, OpenAI, and Microsoft, one of the leading computing companies out there, and put them together. That's Skynet. That is Skynet, man. I'm telling you,
Oh
I
man,
like.
here we go. Here we go.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
but look, okay, so this is what it says, right? So because of this rapidly changing relationship, OpenAI has diversified its infrastructure partnerships, including participation in the $500 billion Stargate project with Oracle and SoftBank, while Microsoft has expanded Azure to host competing models from Meta, xAI, and DeepSeek. So this Stargate project, what does that sound like? Skynet.
You heard it here first, man. He got
Skynet. Look, that's just my 2 cents on it. That's all. That's
Deuce's two
Medusa's two
cents. You heard it
cents.
first. It's just 2 cents. We got. I mean, so
But no,
everybody, when they talk about that, I would think that would be more. Some people say Skynet, and they think more on the Grok side or on the because then you have robots and you have like Tesla side or Elon side. I mean, like he just has the whole
man,
gamut of
everything.
things, right? Yeah, robotics and all of that. And I know OpenAI has a partnership, but we'll table that. I think that is a good discussion to have and kind of talk through that because yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like we are getting into some very interesting times, and it's super cool, definitely for our entrepreneurs to be able to leverage these technologies and take advantage of this. But also it's just so interesting because every couple of months, there's a lot of something cool to play with, but it's really impactful. You're seeing it kind of in the workforce. You're seeing it and how like product managers are kind of looking at their product line and what they can add to it. A lot of automations and all of those things, and streamlining a lot of things. But
I mean, like I said, it's definitely interesting to see. And I think that deal will be something to keep an eye out for when it is done and if once it's restructured to see what that looks like. But who knows? But speaking of deals, OpenAI has struck another deal with a big company. Like I said, one of the most lucrative cloud computing deals of all time.
you don't say.
Oracle, right. Oracle and OpenAI have signed a $300 billion cloud deal, right? So now this deal, crazy to say the least. They are purchasing computing power from Oracle over 5 years. roughly 60 million a year. I'm sorry, 60 billion with a B, Billy, a year, which is crazy because that far outstrips or OpenAI's current revenue. And it's, of course, like I said, one of the largest cloud contracts ever. And it will require 4.5 gigawatts or gigawatts. Is it gigawatts or gigawatts? Either way,
Man,
a
I
lot of
don't know.
power capacity, a
That's a
lot of
lot.
power capacity to power this deal. Not even the deal, the cloud computing behind it. That's equivalent to over 4 million homes. The amount of power you need to power on 4 million homes is the same amount of power they're going to need for this cloud. So the chairman from Oracle, Larry Ellison, Oracle's share price, of course, surged, and in a week's time, Larry Ellison, his wealth nearly increased nearly 100 billion.
100 billion his
Listen,
wealth
let me
of
tell you, if his wealth net worth was $10 in a week, he got 100 billion. What
100
would you
billion.
do with 100 billion a week?
Man, I was about to ask you the same thing, man. Like, 100 billion. I mean, I don't even know, man. Like, that's
Man,
just
I'm gonna tell you, I'm buying the planet, okay?
yeah. I remember you said you buy the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
You know,
if
say
I
you
if I got a
somewhere on the
hundred
planet.
bills in a week, I'm buying the planet. Like y'all not gonna see me. I'm gonna be out of this world for real.
100 billion. I mean, I'm definitely investing in a lot of that, but I mean, life is going to look a lot different. 100 billion. So, but here's the thing that's interesting, and you can see with these entrepreneurs and individuals, they're still grinding. Like himself, other people, they're still investing, they're still active in all of those other things. And I think that's cool because I think a lot of people say if they get that much money, Deuce, they're gonna be on a beach somewhere and never work again. But I wonder how practical that really, really is, and how long you could really do that for. Like, if that's really a thing, like maybe if you took a year off or two, but like, would you not want to do anything? So it is something good to kind of think about. Like, if you ever really had that opportunity, or if you like the Powerball, wasn't the Powerball 100 or it was not
It's
100, but it was something
I thought it was
1.7 billion.
I thought it was like it wasn't 130 billion or one point something.
I
Either
think it
way,
was
it was a
one.
lot of money,
It
right?
was a lot of
A
money,
lot
yeah.
of money.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, yeah, going back to this, his wealth increased by 100 billion. Now, I do think how wealth and the equity and all those things, like when it rises with stock valuations and all that in the market, those things could fluctuate. I'm sure between him because Elon, I don't know if you saw that, but it was reportedly that he has a huge deal with Tesla, saying that they're going to pay him, and he's going to be like $1 trillion, individual. Like, so that's just. I mean, that's just
Jesus.
$1 trillion,
Here's the
man. I mean,
thing.
like,
Here's the thing, though, about this whole deal that's very interesting, and the deals that OpenAI continues to make. We've talked about this, DJ, that OpenAI technically is still not profitable as startup as they are. We know their worth, their potential, and right now, essentially, we'd classify them as a unicorn, right?
yeah, they would, yeah.
But they have not shown, and I don't know if they will or can. They're not making a profit their revenue. And
I don't know
granted,
if that's yeah. We did because we saw that report, right? It said it wasn't profitable. Maybe like I just can't imagine. I can't imagine at this point them not being profitable. I just,
it's the thing is it's risky. It's risky because obviously you look at, if we were to, kind of open up their books and look at, their balance sheet, really, they're not making any money, so to speak. But I mean, technically we know the potential behind it. Yes, they can keep the lights on, they have all these deals, they have all this cash flow coming in. But,
I mean, I know they're putting a lot into, of course, training and keeping up with the competition, and I just think I don't know. I don't know enough to speak and tell it. Like, I think that there's no way that they're not making a profit at this point. Like at this point, like before, yeah. Like I know last year because I remember the article coming out. We looked at it and it was just saying like essentially they were just burning so much in R&D that they weren't making
yeah.
a profit, or they were like breaking even. But yeah, I would I don't know,
But
but
I mean, OpenAI is losing money. They disclosed in June recently that they're only generating about 10 billion in annual revenue, right? And the thing about it is like the risk, is it worth the reward? And a lot of people believe so. That's why they are
yeah,
getting
man.
deals like this, right? But
Everybody wants to get the
also,
ASI first because whoever gets there, I mean, because first the mark was AGI. Now that that's kind of clouded, like, because some people would think that we have AGI already. So with ASI, artificial super intelligence, to chop off the acronym, but yeah, that once you get to that point, I mean, apparently that's when they're saying it's one. Like, remember you've been very vocal about the AI wars that are going on. That's literally like that that Mario Golden Star that everybody's trying to get to. They're trying to get that thing. They're trying to get to
Yeah.
AS.
Speaking on that, I mean, it's just to play devil's advocate. Like we said, we've talked about OpenAI having the lion's share of the AI market, right? But what if it all comes crashing down? I mean, hypothetically, this is one of the things that, they are working towards, but from a business perspective, right? If we're looking at this as a business analyst to analyze deals and stuff as far as the risk factor.
Yeah,
This is so risky as far as what they're doing in business. No one would ever do this as a regular business deal, but because of what the company is and what they have been doing,
yeah.
yeah, we're going to take that risk. But it's risky. It's so crazy risky. Like it's like I
I
don't
mean, that's
know,
true. A
but
lot. I mean, but everybody's saying, we're in the AI bubble and and the bubble's gonna burst soon. And
exactly. All right.
and some people are saying that there's really not much improvement that it's making in the workplace, and it's really not, but then, on the other hand, have the workplace still being impacted by it, seemingly so, right? They're having a restructures and all those other things all across the industry in different sectors of the industry. So I mean, I think these will definitely be one of the things that we'll look back on in a couple of years and we can kind of see. But a lot of it,
Yeah,
I'm hearing 2027 is going to really start to be impactful too. Like unemployment and things like that will be like a
of
really
course.
hot topic then in 22. And I mean, because you just see, like, I mean, look at your whole full feature film by the end of this year or whatever the case is, right? I
Hey,
mean, just that, and let
we're,
alone
we're
it.
gonna we're gonna we're gonna put a pin in that and table that topic for another episode. Don't
Yeah,
worry, I got something for you. But
yeah,
I agree, and I think I mean this really, for our listeners, I really want y'all to let us know how you guys feel about some of these major deals happening. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think the risk is worth the reward, for them? Also, let us know about the Apple event. Are you guys feeling some of the new devices that they're dropping, the watch, the headphones, and what do you think about Apple Air, right? Let us know in the comments what you guys think. We want to hear from you. This episode, we really just kind of wanted to put out some updates of what's been going on in the realm of tech that's been happening around us
been a
and
lot, man.
speculate a few things, of course. But of course, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Ah, that's it, man. We'll talk to you guys on the next one. It's still go Cowboys. I guess I
And
saw that in there. But no, in all
until
seriousness,
further notice. All
until further notice, yeah.
right, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.